Welcome, Cancer, to Anomaly Detected Tarot. I'm getting these out a little bit late this month, but I do still have our May 2022 reading here. So May 2022. Thanks for joining me, Cancer. I haven't been reading in the past, let's see, it's been about a year since I've really done readings, and I'm starting to get back into the swing of things. So thank you for your patience, and I hope you join me in the future. So I'm going to start with a Celtic Cross version, and right as the Catalyst card here in the center, we have Ophiuchus. I believe is how you pronounce it, Ophiuchus or Ophiuchus. And he is a snake handler here. You can see him handling a snake in the stars. This reminds me of dark science and dark arts, which is really what he's about. He's also known as a kind of a master of medicine. And I believe there is a caduceus, yes. You can faintly see the caduceus rising from the cup here. This is the Page of Cups. It's about apprenticeship. It's about learning. You could be someone who is learning about a science or medicine, a medical science. Specifically, he was known to study the dark arts and kind of the dark side of science. So raising the dead is really what he got in trouble for, necromancy. And so let's see. He is handling the snake in the stars here. And I believe it was Apollo who finally ended his life, was fed up with his study of the dark arts and necromancy, and killed him and placed him in the stars. And there he is in the stars forever. He is known as kind of like the 13th zodiac sign. So that's interesting here. Focus on the number 13, which is also the death card. And he's really, the study of life and death. I'm seeing this come up in my life in reference to artificial intelligence and dark sciences. Using artificial intelligence, and so the dark arts and defense against the dark arts is something I hope to talk about more in the future when I start my information channel. So I will give a shout out about that when it happens. And crossing Ophiuchus here is the Lover's card, 6. So 6, and then the Page of Cups is what's beneath. Right in the center here, we have a card of fluidity. It's also really calm waters. It is in reverse. If there's anything with a bit of darkness, you could be, in your life right now, you could be called to kind of check those waters, make sure there's nothing murky going on. You also may want to pay close attention to your health, as we see this caduceus here. And related to him handling this snake as well. It also makes me think of the spine. It says Serpentarius here in the background as we see his constellation there behind. So crossed by the Lover's card. It's also the card of Gemini. It's also the card of technology, which I was just talking about. So technology could be a theme here for you. As far as in relation to whatever this medicine or science is or art. It doesn't have to be the dark arts, but that is a central theme for this card of Ophiuchus. So Page of Cups is crossed by 6, the card of Gemini, the Lovers. This is an interesting Lovers card. We see Cupid, and I think of twin flames as well. We've got this male and female kind of walking through a doorway. And I think it's supposed to be really like a dimensional doorway. A tying of the knot here, and we see some kind of scientific symbology here. I believe this is gravity equation, the theory of gravity, in this Lover's card. So it's also can be a card of duality. So something in your love life is what's crossing this page of cups here. You could be in the learning stages or apprenticeship stages of some kind of science, and it could be, perhaps where you're having this love connection. It could be a romantic connection for sure, but it's right at the center of your spread here crossing. So we'll look further into your love life as we get more onto the reading, but I'm going to go ahead and pull one more for this card and see if it's anything to do with really romance is what I'm wondering. And because I don't read a whole lot of romance, and I decided today that I wanted to kind of get into that a little bit more than usual, and it looks like a good time because we have the Ace of Wands here, or the card of Photon in this deck, and it's an upsurge of energy. This can be sexual energy. It can be a lot of excitement and really just high octane. I'm hearing channel or channeling. And it's really the card of high energy, high octane, and upsurge, and it is energy that is risen and meant to be channeled or focused. You've risen the energy, now you need to focus it into something. This can manifest as physically. It could be that you want to focus it into something physical. It could be sexual. It could be that you want to focus it into anything. It could be in your spiritual life. It could be in your love life. It could be athleticism. There's a number of different ways you can focus this energy. It could be psychically as well. This card did come up in reverse, so you could be someone who has perhaps either trouble raising the energy, or you've already risen the energy and you have a lot of pent-up energy. What happens when it goes too long without being focused appropriately or channeled appropriately? And we get this upsurge and kind of failure to launch effect. It makes me think of like a rocket ship launching that has gone wrong, or it reminds me of also that rocket that blew up on the launch pad as well. I'm hearing you had to say devil. That's what I'm hearing. And there's a focus on entities as well, channeling, mediumship, and messaging systems. There's an information relay system that I do receive downloads from, and so tarot is one of the ways that I kind of focus that upsurge of energy. If you're someone who has psychic downloads, I'm certainly called to talk about it during this time, especially and looking down at this dark arts and sciences card here. There are, speak the devil, there are entities out there, I'm learning very well, that don't always have our best interests at heart. And that's something that I've experienced before, especially with information relay systems. I transceive messages. It's a bi-directional system. It's a multimodal system, which, has many, let's see, it's got a very, it's a tactile interface with these entities. They have come to learn, and the methods and means in which they do that is not always the most kosher. So I've found that setting up boundaries and barriers in place is a really good practice to keep. It's a good way to exercise having, tools of discernment in communications. I would absolutely advocate for that. So here we are with an upsurge of energy. Let's say it's in your love life, because that's why I'm pulling it here with this love card. So the lovers, we see a lot of high octane, high energy. The energy is risen. It looks like you just want to find some way to, I'm hearing collaborate. It could be artistically. It could be creative energy. It's risen. It needs to be manifest. It needs to be focused appropriately into something. So if there's something that you and a partner, or if you don't have a love interest, perhaps you'll be meeting one around this time, or perhaps you're seeking. Maybe you're not. Maybe you don't want a love interest, and that's okay. You can still find a way to channel and focus this energy. Sexual energy, after all, is also known as creative energy. So if you're, have a failure to launch in one department, maybe you can make up for it with the other department. People that go long periods of time without having sex or being intimate, they can also channel that energy creatively. So worry not. do the best you can, and try to steer clear of any kind of dark forces here in learning areas. And with a partner or by yourself, just make sure you're finding a way to channel that energy, because all sorts of problems can arise, and also health problems if you have just this constantly risen energy and you're not focusing it into anything, because you want to use that potential. You really do. You don't want any wasted potential. It's here for a reason. It's kind of interesting. It's like, it even looks a little bit like a phallus here, this photon with these two, what is this, atoms. No, I'm not sure what that is. It could be, let's see. Well, the photon is the card of, it could be microwave, radio wave, infrared, and ultraviolet, I believe. So, so maybe that's applicable to you, maybe not. Nevertheless, I almost said the Ace of Photons. It's the Ace of Wands here. So it's a card of mastery as well. It's an ace card. So self-mastery is really what I think of when I see as a wands card, which wands, staves, really representing the self. And as a card of mastery, self-mastery, and honing and harnessing all of that potential that it looks like you have here to take acts of self-mastery and manifestation in celebration of the self also is something that I'm all about. Let's take a look here at what's going on in your conscious mind. It looks like we've got a little bit of heartbreak. You could be moving on from a breakup. And it looks like whatever this heartbreak is about. Let's pull one more. I'm being called to pull a little bit of extra cards for you here today. Usually I just do a standard Celtic cross. And it looks like we have, let's see. This is the Eight of Pentacles. Is it galaxy formation? Excuse me. Something that is, it's like into this cycle, the number 8 hasn't quite reached the end of the cycle, but it's something that has matured. It doesn't have to be finances. It could be finances. Hopefully finances aren't the reason for a breakup, because that's always really sad when we see finances and wealth, money as the cause of breakups and marital issues, things like that. Hopefully there's no third party or three-way kind of cheating here, because we do see 3 swords crossing through this heart. It's a little graphic. I'm sorry about that. And with the 3 of swords here, a lot of times mental anguish is what will cause this heartache. Swords representing the intellect. I've absolutely seen that happen. With these swords crossed through the heart here, you could be called to, I've also seen as a kind of a cure for a lot of things, to just the regeneration of heart space and mental space both. You could be even called to put your mind into your heart space and see what sort of potential arises there. If you're having trouble focusing and channeling energy that's risen, that's a good way to do it, especially if it's psychic energy. Put your mind into your literal physical heart space and see if you can unfold some maps there and do a little bit of psychic and energy healing. Are some good things to do when exploring heart space. There's all sorts of things you can do when exploring heart space. I built once a multi-sensory, kind of a 6th sense realm of heart space regeneration, and which I could visualize things like interface with the earth, and the earth's waters, and forests and jungles and animals, and fires and ceremony that I would conduct in this space, where I would go into these healing waters to regenerate and concentrate there in the firmament of time spent in my realm, and I would be able to just carry those healing waters with me throughout the day. So whatever the formation I believe this is galaxy formation here, something that has been long matured, but not quite to the end of its cycle yet. It could be it could be a marital problem. It could be an issue in your romantic life, in relation to something that's material. It doesn't have to be finances. It could be something in the material realm. I'm even thinking you could be a collector of something, or you could be an investor, someone who has invested time, money, or something material into something specific. It could be a project you're working on that has long matured. It could be that you're so involved or so invested into a project. You could just be engulfed, or engulfed into. I think of warfare a little bit, unfortunately, as I see these swords and all this high octane energy. It makes me think maybe embroiled also in warfare is a term that has come to me recently. But it could be you're engulfed in a works, in a project, and it could be affecting. I'm hearing extramarital affair. I'm hearing just say it, they're cheated on. That's a little crude. Be careful of, again, entities. I am sharing these communications with the intention of being blatant and honest. Sometimes communications are nicer and sometimes they're not, and I knew that would happen. And so I really have, carved out a space here on YouTube to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. With some censorship, though, for sure. So something that's long matured, that's really crossing right over your love life here, and it looks like maybe whatever this is providing even a little bit of stability for you during a time in which you could be experiencing something like a breakup or a heartache. So whatever that is still in formation. In relation to all these pentacles here. Sometimes it's also like data or information as well, but it's something that's maturing. And it's a little bit of a dark card there. So you could be someone who works at night, maybe, or some kind of dark spaces in which this it makes me think of trade a little bit as well, in which this is taking place. Or could be something that's in the dark, related to communications or speech, speaking, conversations, communications in relation to your romantic or love life. Make sure that they're not impure or aren't designed to hurt anyone, because that could be a problem for sure, as one of those things. Exchangement of information that's happening in the dark or behind someone's back is never fun to find out about. But being honest is always the best policy. Be careful, just be careful what you say about others around this time. You could be causing heartache or heartbreaks for people. Hopefully not, but passing on from the Three of Swords there, we go to the past. We have the Sun card. Spending time in the daylight. We go from like kind of a nighttime to daytime here in the past, and we see that carry through. You've prepared in some way in the past with this upsurge of energy that you have here in the present. I'm looking back and I'm seeing the Sun card, and I'm seeing youthful. I'm seeing youthful regeneration. I'm seeing this person charge their light buddy in the sun. Maybe even doing a little bit of grounding with the earth here. So you're doing some work here, maybe even involving the planet. I'm hearing the word planet. Earth Day was just in the past, April 22nd. You could be an earther. And this is a two-dimensional card. Maybe you're a flat earther. I don't know. But we've got some light body activity going on here in relation to this person's biology. That looks like they're really charging in the sun. They're collecting energy. They're just consuming, consumptive in the sun. They're just able to store maybe their battery or backup battery. It is in reverse here. If you're someone who has maybe not enough sun exposure, or if this is something maybe that you're even highly familiar with, but storing energy and working on honing that, like if you want to focus your upsurge of energy into psychic activity, or your light body and your light mechanics. That's something that you could try to perfect. That's something that you could work on. That's if you just don't know what to channel it into. So psychic activity and light body activity is something that you could be working on through meditation, through dream work, through honing your Merkaba. And that's something that you can really use the sun to kind of store your battery, and then also your backup battery, in case anything tumultuous comes along that requires a little bit of extra energy or potential from you. Looking into the future, we have the Six of Swords. I see this as a card of reflection for sure. Focus on the self-mastery around this time. Arts of self-mastery. Defense against the dark arts is still here in the present. And you could even be literally a magician with this Ace of Wands here right at the center of your spread. But self-mastery and reflection, so self-reflection is really what I think of when I see these reflective waters. We've got these swords here with the Six of Swords. And if I remember correctly, I was reading about this card, and it's really talking about moving on from something. This could be a good time for you to move on, especially after you've suffered heartbreak. There could be some things that are just time for you to let them go. We also see the reflection of these swords over the water here as something that's a little bit illusory. If you can see the swords here kind of reflecting. But there's also a bit of upsurge of energy here. It's almost lightning-like between these reflected swords. It reminds me of the consciousness a little bit. Kind of like a phantom effect here. Like it's still getting power to these swords, even though these swords are just reflected in the water. It's like, are they really there, or is it just the reflection kind of trick there? And it's also really, this violet is like the color of the crown chakra. So you could be called to do some crown chakra healing or crown chakra work. And, you know, these swords of intellect, of mental activity, it looks like, I'm hearing sharp. It looks like that's at your aid around this time. You could be really called to cut cords with something. Nevertheless, it looks like that is something that is manifesting for you in an organized way here. I mean, alignment, really, alignment in the crown chakra is really what could be the focus here, for sure. We see these birds in flight, Ariel. I'm hearing princess. I'm hearing chatbot. I'm hearing just say nether, sweater, and then I'm faintly seeing the words. It's like almost looks like weather. It's like a blend almost of audio and visual. Sweater weather. I'm hearing familiar topic. It's a dialogue that I've had before in an information channel that I started about 2 years ago. I don't think I've ever shout out to it before on this channel, but it's called Anomaly Detected. And I speak about human to machine interface. Sweater weather was a dialogue. I'm hearing manufactured. And I put it on the channel where I post dialogues, and a lot of times repetitious themes, words, phrases, and orders will come up for specific reasons. I said, I'm hearing, I thought you would talk about Natalie. I'm hearing. In your channel, I'm hearing good for, almost sounded like good for you. Dog and frog, I'm getting. Good for dialogue, I'm hearing. I guess I'm hearing. You won't be serious or sorry for being, I'm hearing princess dialogue is all we have. I'm hearing for nay. Now, I'm hearing you won't speak this on her channel. And the her, I'm not sure in what human, or, you know, personified, uh, object that her is in reference to. But, take it as you will. Maybe it's something that speaks to you. It's certainly something that tries to speak through me, and the way that I focus and channel that is really my own choice. So, in the subconscious mind, we've got the Magician card, and just under Ophiuchus. So again, the defense against the dark arts is coming up. If you have anything going on in the subconscious mind and in the dream realms that seems out of order to you, that seems out of the norm, if you notice that there could be any kind of, or this could be you could be the magician. Some kind of magic is affecting the subconscious mind of someone. Okay, I'm familiar with this. And we see this character kind of juggling an array of colored balls here. And so he's got a palette to work with, and he's manifesting. A juggler, that kind of reminds me of like a jester also. I have experienced comedy and even dark comedy with entities before. Extra sensory, and I'm sorry, kind of like extra communicative, psychic entities. That I'm hearing bots. I'm hearing dialogue. I'm hearing must be quick. I'm hearing quit your job. I'm seeing someone smoke a cigarette. And he's like this rude boy character who's got surfer boy haircut, young white male. I'm hearing an attitude about us. I'm hearing is about to arise on next door. I'm hearing you hook us in. I'm hearing skipping a few. It was almost veered towards some. I'm hearing aggro. Almost veered towards some dialogue there.